So we decided we're only going to come back to the podcast if we can commit to a daily release schedule. So here we are committing to releasing a new episode every day. Is that what we agreed on?
Yep, that answers like 17 of the 18 questions we got on Twitter. So this will be a short show. This daily stuff's easy.
Tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. That's right.
What is going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast.
What's up, man?
How's it going?
It's pretty good. I was going to ask you the same question. I wasn't prepared to answer it, though. It's going pretty good. This kind of came up because Nathan and Dylan and a few others have said, somebody else on Instagram, too, says they were at work. They missed hearing our sweet voices or something like that. And I was like, that's too kind. That's too kind. Absence must make the heart grow fonder because anyway, you make us sound great. But yeah, no, some woman named Miss Honey on Twitter recently found the show and was like, hey, this episode made me mad. I'm like, buckle up. That's the show. Welcome to the show.
Oh boy.
But yeah, it's been a while. We'll get to the spring break question when it comes up. But yeah, I've been mostly just hanging out with my family and taking classes and walking and reading and kind of trying to limit my screen time as much as possible, to be honest, successfully, actually. So,
wow.
Yeah, I think you've probably noticed. I kind of turn my phone off after work, and in the morning when I get to work, I turn it back on in case the daycare calls, but I answer emails and texts then, and that has been, it seems to work for me. I like that quite a bit, actually. So, that's kind of just been my day to day on speaking on super broad terms. How about you, man? How's it going? I've seen some skate videos, a lot of skate videos. Yeah,
man. I'm definitely trying to skate more. It's been like a mix of really busy and just hanging out. You know, it's interesting to talk about the family stuff, which, by the way, I did say something on Twitter. We have a girl coming in December. So
yeah, I mean, we should have just kicked the show off there. Can you club horn it up? Congrats, man. I knew a long time ago, but
yeah.
It's been since March. I looked at the last Skype call we made to each other. Shout out to Skype, which we use for some reason. I think it was pre-pandemic we started the show and just kept using Skype, but Zoom has become an entity during
Zoom
those 6 years.
A pile of dog shit, and they should be ashamed of themselves for existing.
Scorchfest 22. We're coming for you, Silicon Valley. What's up, Zoom? You suck. Next, you burnt. Cry about it, Zoom.
So, it's interesting that you hear just over the course of time some of your favorite bands break up. I think Tom leaving Blink was I want to spend more time with family, and all I could think of was you idiot! How could you leave Blink for family? And not to compare our show to Blink 182. But I get it now that I have a family. It's time with family is amazing.
Yeah, that Lead Singer Syndrome podcast, and you hear a lot of it, but sometimes you get half the band that's hey, I'm good, and the other half, is I would like to continue working because that's how I tick, and it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Again, we're not a band, and we both made the same decision, so it's not but it is interesting. It happens. Time passes, and people turn 30. Pretty wild concept for all us former 2000s emo kids, etc.
But I mean, when we kind of agreed to take a short break, you were going through.
Do you want
stuff
to do that question first?
Yeah, let's do that.
So Katie on Twitter just came out and asked the question, what's the status of the spring break? Obviously, it's August. Summer came and went also.
Right.
So it was misnamed from the jump. I think we were. Yeah, we had been in talks to do a creative project with someone else that got kind of shelved for very understandable reasons. Mm-hmm. And then we took that time because before we got that call, we were going to take a break anyway. We just kind of kept going and Well, yeah, I'll let you go. But my interpretation was we were nearing the need for a break, at least on my end.
Yeah.
And then that came and we just white knuckled through. I was taking classes and stuff at the time. We talked about it then. And then when it got shelved, we were like, hey, man, I'm still as exhausted as I was. So, I'd like to take a breather if that's cool. But yeah, that's my end of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, more or less. I think you have been kind of advocating for us both needing a break, which you were totally right. I was a little afraid to put a pause on it because I felt like if we did, we would just never come back to it. probably acknowledging, how burned out I was at the time. But yeah, man, I mean, we were like buying tons of like equipment and gear, and we were signing contracts and all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking right now at, this is not the normal setup, by the way. So if you're listening to this, judging Tom's audio engineering capabilities, this episode, it's always my fault, but this episode is definitely my fault. We just wanted to hop on and have some fun and say hello. But yeah, I still have a ton of...
Yeah, you're like a gearhead now, dude.
I know, dude, except that my phone, we'll get to my phone battery later, folks. I know you're all dying to know. Yo, I straight up, I've got gear, dude. Yo, what model camera is that, dude? That has to be a Nikon, dude.
It's a Sony, first of all.
No, I got both. That's the thing about the lenses. They go on both. So
they don't.
Dude, where's the button? Is it still on the upper right or what?
So, yeah, I mean, we were gearing up for like a very pretty massive thing, which again, may or may not happen. But after it was shelved, it was kind of like, yeah, we're still pretty tired. Maybe we just you were like, do you mind if I like take like 3 weeks? And I was like, sure, I'll keep the show going. I'll do interviews. And then.
Yeah. Well, that was back when everything was still kind of on. But I was just like, yes. I called you. I think I was having a rough stretch and just like, hey man, can't be doing it. I think it was like this leaky faucet situation at my house was one of like 17 things that happened in like a 3-day stretch. And I was like, Tom caught all the energy from all that. It's just like, hey man, you're the first person I'm talking to as I'm having this mental break. Just not happening, my man. Sorry. But I think you were right. I mean, like, I think you were very right to be, kind of be afraid that like, hey, we might not come back to it if we ever leave, which we kind of knew might have been true. But it's a mix of like, what we needed versus, I think we're only here today, I think also because we miss all of you and you guys were kind of getting at us on Twitter and you can guilt us into anything. Just know that. I think you all are extremely aware of that. So yeah, no, that's the part we missed the most is talking with you guys. But so that's why the break has extended itself kind of naturally. I think the news of your second child, I think probably came in and was like, hey, I got to handle some things, handle my business and my literal business. I mean, you own your own and run your own audio engineering company. Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of that. So like I've been super fucking busy with the production company and really just realizing like how much I've been giving to everyone else other than myself for like probably my entire life. So I'm trying to like take some of that time back for myself. And also, my wife was in Sweden for 8 days and it was just me and Jasper, our kid who's like approaching 16 months at this point. And
so giant. He's an Olympian, dude. Yeah. He's a handsome fella.
He's falling on the shorter end of all the weight height spectrums. So he's kind of,
there'll be some summer where he'll just become Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It'll just happen. You're like, oh my God.
But after that week, I didn't really have any work to do. It just kind of lined up where I only worked 2 hours that week. And just being a dad was probably the most amazing experience of my life. And I feel like that has kind of encouraged like, okay, what can I pare down to like have more time just being a dad? Because I can't get these moments back. It seems like Jasper's like trying to start talking now and stuff. And like, there's never going to be a time like this again with him. And I don't want to fucking miss it.
Right.
So I'm really looking at like what really, really, really matters. And of course the podcast does, again, I don't really know the status of it.
I think the answer is we still don't want to do it, I don't think, but not because of you guys. I just think, I don't know. I think like, I don't know. I asked you like a month ago, we're like, hey, should we come back? Should we have that talk? And you were like, we both were like, we're not really maybe ready to even have the talk because we're, like for better or worse, really in a better spot personally. So, it feels so low stakes, like it doesn't deserve to be recorded and talked about and published. But just to let you guys know, like, yeah, we love you so much that you even listen or care to want to know. But we're doing good. And I think if it worked with the schedules, maybe. But at the moment, I think the new dad thing is just like really great and special in a new way for us. So we might. I mean, Tom has not gone atomic. I was like, hey, delete the website. Save yourself a few bucks a month. He's like, I can't do it yet. So until he hits that giant red button in his studio and deletes everything, we've got it wired to a giant red button. And we haven't hit it yet. It's got a little glass case over it, like the rose from Beauty and the Beast. But
Oh my God.
Technically, anything's possible, I guess. I think we're holding out to hear from that other project just to see if that rolls through. I think they had mentioned maybe wait till fall at the earliest based on the projects they were lining up. But I think we're kind of waiting to hear on that. And then we are also just kind of enjoying life to a certain degree. I don't know if we'll do more of these necessarily. I don't know. Maybe. But I think, is that enough on that one, you think? We've gone for a few minutes here now.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to put it in these terms, but like, obviously the thing I really miss is talking to you more and, you know, interacting with the people that listen. Like, to me, that's incredible. But I feel like at this point, with how busy I am and all the family stuff and kind of like our family needs, you know, if Marshall Amplifiers, to bring back an old joke, was knocking down our
Who
door.
actually emailed us back. Shout out to Marshall. They were like, yeah, sure, send us some stats. We'll consider, in theory, sponsoring your show. This was years ago.
I feel like if the show was making really good money, it would justify it more. And it's kind of in this hard place where it's like, well, we can't grow the show and make more money without doing a fuck ton of work first. And I don't want to like devalue the Patreon supporters who are giving us like good,
you
know,
kept it on life support for a long time. Just,
yeah.
You know, the hosting bills and everything.
But
yeah, it was kind of a good problem to have, right? The hobby becomes something people actually care about. So like ending it was a bigger decision than just us feeling tired, I guess, for probably 2.5 years.
No, absolutely. But like, if fucking, you know, someone picked up the show and paid us a ton of money, of course we'd still do it. But at this point,
Right.
It's kind of like an equation where right now the time isn't giving us as much of what we need.
Also, can I take it in this direction if you don't mind?
Sure.
Like, The Ringer just did its emo week. There's a lot of shows that do a really good job. Both former bands and lead singers and music journalists, but also a ton of shows like ours. I'm curious, you know, you definitely want to feel like you're adding something too. Like if you can indulge us sounding like the worst people you've ever met for like 4 minutes maybe. But, you know, like if we, you know, launch fully back into it, I'm curious if there's more 2010 stuff or maybe more this. I don't really know, but, you know, because we started, let's jump to the emo sketch show question. Somebody said, you know, is that ever, I think it was Dylan. It was like, when's the emo show coming to YouTube? We spent like a month writing sketches for the emo sketch show just because we had the time and had fun. We were having phone calls about it, you know, and just threw some stuff into a Google Doc, having a lot of fun with that. So I think what we landed on, based on, because when I turned 30 and you found out you were going to become a dad, we went up to the mountains in North Carolina with our friend Zach from childhood, who was in our high school band and everything. And I think, you know, the conclusion a few months ago on the phone was just like, hey, that was a fun weekend just recording new music and just creating with each other. So, you know, whether it's a podcast or not, I think it doesn't have to be that for us personally to like enjoy each other's company, just kind of making art and things like that.
Yeah.
Not that the podcast is art. Again, are my 4 minutes of sounding truly awful over yet? I'm just going to stop talking, but I think you get what I was trying to say. Like if we dove back in, I'd want to have a thorough, maybe editorial chat with each other about like, you know, why and for what, because it seems like the 2000s emo nostalgia specifically is in pretty good hands. I think it's, you know, the 90s nostalgia has kind of shifted into 2000s pretty firmly in like the culture, I guess it seems like. So, you know, I don't know what we'd be adding, I guess would be my like softly whispered question from the corner of the room.
Yeah. And, you know, I keep coming back to this thing of like, there's got to be a way to make it more fun and easier for us. Like, I don't know, man. I just think like there's a way to do a fun live stream type thing that's not so much of a production. It kind of scratches some of the same itch, but it's not this big like, because, you know, after we record the show, it takes me like 2.5 hours to put it all together, to edit it, mix it down, write the show notes, publish everywhere.
Yeah, when
It's
Nathan
so much
first
work.
tweeted, I was like, should we just do Twitter Spaces or Instagram Lives or something instead and just have fun and not record any of it?
Right.
But pros and cons with everything. Anyway, we can move on from that. But I'm just like, that's kind of the status of the show, is that there's no update. The update is there's no update really. But we're feeling better and happier. So that's something.
Yeah. And like for
Isn't
right
it,
now,
guys?
we've
Hello?
kind of we've kind of committed to just like not really thinking about it. So,
Yes. And it's been since March. So that's how hard we've committed to that. Okay. Enough of the serious stuff. How many, All right. I know we always say we're going to scrap it 20 minutes in, but this is over. We're starting over. Okay. This is from Patrick McDonough. Pat, do you not charge your phone overnight like literally everyone else in the world? It's like 7:30 a.m. and you're already on low power mode at 13%. This is a running joke in the show I've never knew was going to happen. But yeah, my phone is old. I don't think we can come up. I'll say weirder stuff in a moment, for the purpose of this exercise. The short answer is I just have an old phone. And I think that's kind of it. I had posted, and the battery's going, right? I had posted solicited for questions earlier this morning before we're recording early in the morning. But the longer, weirder question is, I don't like it when I think I'm doing something like too much or over aggressive, I guess, with a machine. Like the speed at which window wipers go really bugs me, unless it's a perfect mixture of like, it's moist enough to get that crisp, firm clean, but it's not working too hard or going so slow. Because like, I don't want it to be wiping so hard, but there's not that many drops to wipe. I'm like, sorry, car, sorry. Like, it's a member of my family that I'm overworking. It's just like, hey, no, you're good. You're good. Like,
dude, my sister straight up has like screaming panic attacks if the wipers are on too fast.
Oh, I hate it so much. I really do. So I often end up just doing the up once because I hate every setting bugs me. It's one of my weird things. So anyway, I also hate keeping a phone plugged in after it's already full because I feel like I'm like overfeeding my child or something. I don't know. So it's just kind of like when the robot overlords come for us, I want them to be like, this guy was actually like weirdly empathetic towards machines throughout his life, but like he gets a pass. Maybe that'll be how it comes. But the short answer is I just have an old phone. It's really, that is what it is. But it is, how you've seen, it's been like 3 years of having just a dog shit battery. Like it's been 5 to 13% every time I've ever screenshotted anything for Instagram. So commitment to the bit, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. But it's been, I think I got the phone in 2017 or something. So Tom, yeah, you mentioned I'm a gearhead. It's a throwback joke to like you asking me what model my phone was once, just like out of curiosity because something was going so poorly as it related to the show. I was like, I don't fucking know, man. It's not something that landed in my brain. If anybody ever even mentioned it once, it just didn't register as important information to me at the time. And that's not an argument for me being correct or sane. Like, hopefully very aware that this is a weird way to conduct yourself.
I do remember it was like a year and a half ago, you bought a brand new computer and it was like this big deal. It was a big purchase. And I was like, which one did you get? And you were like, it's a Mac. I was like, yeah, but which one? You're like, I don't know. It's a Mac. Like, how do you not
And
know?
I got all pissed off at you for no reason. I was just like, Tom, what's with the fucking line of questioning my guy? It's a fucking Mac laptop, dude. Like, are we in court? What the fuck is going on here? And you're just like, hey, man, relax. It's just a question. Also, this audio's coming in hot. Some of the louder moments, I can tell this is going to be. I know. Even doing it, it's just like the stressors. Okay. Next question. Ooh, Patrick again. He went with a weird one, but then like a very serious kind of like, I don't know. This might harm our friendship almost. But F, marry, kill, Blink, Taking Back Sunday, and the Wonder Years.
Oh Christ!
I know, right? This might be the best question we've ever gotten for an AMA.
I kill myself because I don't want to answer.
Yeah, I F myself and then kill myself. No, let's see. Okay, so the first place my brain went was to kill the Wonder Years, F Taking Back Sunday, and marry Blink. But I think there's a scenario where I kill Blink, have like a nice, friendly post-local scene F sesh with the Wonder Years, and never talk to them again. And married Taking Back Sunday, even though it would be turbulent, but exciting. The highs would be high. I don't know. Those are the two answers that came to my head, and I don't feel good about either of them. And I hope talking that out with you out loud now is good enough because I don't want to land on an answer.
Yeah, no, that's hard, man. I'm thinking F Blink, marry Taking Back Sunday, kill Wonder Years, but that doesn't make any sense.
No, I know, because like, why wouldn't I marry the Wonder Years? It just seems like it would be an awful experience. So
we
I
move
know
to
I
Utah
wouldn't.
and marry all of them.
It's just kind of like, everything Chris Lukey's ever poked fun at us about, like, hey, they're too whiny and I don't like them. And it's like, well, you don't get it, man. But then it's like, oh God, has he been right this whole time? I don't want to marry the Wonder Years in this situation. I think I married Blank. Yeah, I think my first instinct was probably correct. But
like a young Blink, right?
Well, hey, you got to look at the body of work. Like, and also like, am I just living with the band? Like, are they gonna talk me into their self-titled for the next 30 years if I'm married to Taking Back Sunday? Like, no, we really put a lot of effort and try to make a good rock record. It's like, I don't give a fuck. We're listening to Tell All Your Friends Again today. Anyway, yeah. Do you listen to their music while you clean the house? There's a lot of, that's a good question. Okay.
Also, did you see that Tom might be back in Blink?
So there's been some Instagram flirting-ish type of headlines. There's been a lot of emo headlines. That's what I'm saying. Like, the emo thing seems to be in good hands now.
Yeah,
so I also think that's why we're not in a rush. Like, there's the When We Were Young Fest, MCR, Paramore, everybody's kind of back. People are writing think pieces about it. There's like
Haley
there's
Williams
just a lot of energy
podcast.
around it. Yeah, well, that's the thing is we were looking to do this other project, and that week I was like, oh, Tom, even Haley's doing it. So it's like, we're not going to beat Haley,
Right.
So it just kind of was like, oh man, whom are we? Okay. Off the Beaten Clef is the account, but it's Dylan. What are you guys listening to right now?
I am listening to Lolo nonstop right now.
She was a song of the week months ago, but
yeah,
she must have stuck in your head enough to keep listening to her larger body of work.
I'm fucking obsessed with it, dude. I love it.
Nice.
And Counterparts put out a couple new songs. Spirit Box put out a few. Oh, Bearings is probably the thing I'm listening to the most other than Lolo. So 2 Canadian artists, actually.
Hey, we've always been a pro Canada show.
Very pro.
Very pro. What
about you?
So lately, not a ton new. I think the Turnstile record was great. Everyone knows that. And that's kind of like the newest record I really got into as like a full album. Mostly lately at work, my playlists have been some of the 2010 stuff I had kind of taken a break from subconsciously for a few years. But Tokyo Police Club, Born Ruffians, Waxahachie, even though I never pronounced that name right, I'm sure, Charlie Bliss, stuff like that. I realized that I'm like a pretty big Born Ruffians fan, and I guess I knew that, but yeah, just kind of going back through the library and being like, oh, I forgot this. It's kind of nice because a few years go by, you forget like a year and a half period of your life where you're listening to a certain amount of things. Like, I'll just go listen to those playlists again, and it's kind of a nice, you kind of get to rediscover it a little bit. So that's kind of where I've been at. But as far as like, I have not been keeping up on new releases pretty much at all, other than like the Turnstile record just came in, was great. And that is kind of the newest thing I've really been like, wow, nice. Good job, guys. But Adrian replied to this thread on Twitter and was like, said what his favorite records of 2022 were so far. If you want to chime in, I'd love to have any recommendations. As the other theme of the show, I don't know. You tell us. I'd be more than happy to be told which direction to go.
He has Cliff Diver on there, and I love Cliff Diver. They are a really phenomenal band. I'd listen to them for sure if I were you, because I do listen to them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did your I'll ask this for myself and everybody else. Did your Japanese pop punk phase ever end?
No.
You were you were in it. You were learning the language last time we spoke.
Yeah, it's been a while.
On the show.
It's been a few weeks, I think, since I've done any of the kanji, but I'm still listening to Maki, Humpback, Nifurenzu, and a couple other bands. And, they have like, it's interesting. A lot of the Japanese bands for the music videos put the lyrics on the screen, and it's all in, the Japanese language. So it's been nice to like watch the music videos and like before the text changes, try to like read phonetically all of the characters, which obviously I don't know what it means yet. I'm just like trying to figure out what the characters sound like. So I'm still going through it, but no, like Nifurenzu is like one of the top 3 bands I've been listening to that has not slowed down at all.
Nice. Here's actually, let's just keep rolling with Dylan's questions because he brings up the Blink-182 thing. Who's making a return first, Mark, Tom, and Travis, or Tom and Pat? Which I was like, LOL, good question. We kind of already answered that is probably not going to be us based on all the Instagram flirting that's been going on. But yeah, thoughts on that? Let's just touch on it for a bit. I imagine they'd tour. I imagine there'd be a record. I don't really care if Skiba's involved or not. I think the more the merrier, I guess, at this point, just to get a different sound, a different, whatever. I haven't really paid like my full heart, my whole body, my whole, a full attention into the past maybe 2 or 3 records even. So, it'd be a nice, there's too many Weezer records to keep up with. So I haven't listened to that many Blink ones. No, but for real, I mean, like, would you go see the show? Would you listen and be like really anticipating it, the Tom return? Or because we kind of like Neighborhoods was a sweet return. It was a cool thing. And we're like, newsflash, we're old now. We don't want to like keep beating that drum or like making the jokes that, oh, we're 30, like our life's over. Because it's not. There's like a lot of life to live. We're all like extremely young and there's a long road ahead of us, hopefully for all of us. But
yeah,
I guess I didn't think I'd have to endure well, no, I'll just say like another Tom return. Like, I guess it's happening, but it's happened before. So it's not like, I don't feel the same way I did having to live with the Plus 44 song No It Isn't in my head for like 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we're all just kind of older. I hope it's fun and extremely good, but I guess the stakes don't feel that high. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed California like 60-70% of that record. There were moments that were just so weak and awful, and 9 might have been one of the worst albums I've heard in my life.
Yeah, nothing about it, and I gave it a few chances. Not like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't want to talk down on it because I don't know it well enough, but when it comes up on Shuffle, some of the songs, it's just,
ugh.
I don't want to say more of the same, but it's just kind of like, yeah, okay, this is a record.
Yeah.
Which is like the meanest thing, I guess you could probably say. I'm more excited for Paramore 6, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly because you all convinced me to give After Laughter another shot. And I did, and it was like, oh, okay. Yes, obviously. There's new chapters to be had. Didn't love the Haley solo stuff, but they're coming back, and I'm more anticipating that. But if the Blink thing happens, that'd be great. I'm sure you and I will try to look for an excuse if they come through.
Hell yeah.
Or something.
Probably Atlanta.
Because we didn't end up going to Motion City together a few months ago because the COVID, there was a few new strains out at the time. And with our babies, they hadn't approved vaccines young enough yet. So I think we both were like, hey,
they still haven't, right?
I think they're down. You can go down like 6 months.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. So I think there's some support. We don't have to go on down that road. We're not that show. But I was waiting. I wanted some protection for my son before I was getting too weird with things.
Totally.
Whenever that was going to be possible. Although I saw JW, one of our listeners, was tweeting. You guys also, you tweet definitely FOMO in a good way when you all tweet all the shows you've gone to. It's just like, oh man, nice. But JW had gone to that Motion City tour once they fired it back up. And I was like, man, that did seem like a nice one.
Yeah.
Okay. Adrian questions. Let's get weird. What's a song that absolutely sucks shit from a band you love? It's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of Blink's later career,
Oh, man. It's unfair to Blink that they're so top of mind right now as we read that question.
Yeah. I gotta say, I like worship Stand Atlantic, and I think their first record is one of the better efforts in the past decade. But Pink Elephant, there's a couple songs on it at like Jurassic Park I really, really love. But so much of that album is just awful. And people love it. I don't get it. And Fear is like okay, but they're kind of going into this like almost like butt rock industrial type stuff. And I don't love the direction they're going because I loved Skinny Dipping so much. But yeah, a lot of stuff off Pink Elephant I can't stand, but I absolutely love Stand Atlantic because of the first record.
I'm going to run through a few examples to try to just get the juices flowing. My dirty secret is Panic at the Disco doing pop stuff later in their career. I think it's fine pop music, and I don't mind it at all, actually. It's a little weird that they use the same name for the band, but it is what it is. I actually don't hate that as much. The Killers have been posting some new stuff where they're doing like these acoustic sets and releasing videos on YouTube that they're just trying to write Bruce Springsteen songs, I guess. And I'm just like, I don't know. I'd listen to Bruce if I wanted to hear Bruce type of thing, I guess. And it's kind of an interesting older singer-songwriter motif, I guess. It's just kind of like, I don't love that, really. I hate that more than I would hate the panic pop stuff. Because at least he's telling you what it is. He's just, hey, I'm just doing pop. Like,
yeah,
it's not like there's no secrets about it. He's just doing it. So I will say the Taking Back Sunday self-titled album, I've tried so many times out of love for them. I just don't understand who it's for or what it is. And I just... I don't want to say track one because that comes to mind, and it's the entrance that I can't get past every time, but sucks shit. I mean, that's pretty harsh, but it's possible that album does in my eyes, which is meaningless, of course, because everything is subjective. Unless the point of the show this whole time has been that it's all objective and you can be incorrect. In which case we're always correct. And you all who listen know that. We just have never had a bad opinion on the show. It's just pretty well documented at this point. So, so I don't know what my final answer would be, but it's interesting to watch everybody age, and some gracefully, some not. But you hang through the, not that like they become family necessarily like your windshield wipers do or your old phones do, but, you're just kind of like, all right, guys, we'll get them next time. Tom, join the band again. You fired up. Let's see what happens, Like, yeah. People always get mad. It's like, man, Weezer's coming out with 4 season albums. Why? Like, you know my take on this. They're not hurting anybody. Just don't listen to it. If one of them's great, that's dope. I'll add it to my shit. My playlist will be more robust if one of those hits. And it's okay. Because I don't know. You kind of, there is that attachment, I guess. You and I, we had to get talked into some of the 2010s records we went to college and made a point not to listen to for whatever reason. Danger Days is probably the prime example of that. Maybe there's a couple Paramore records in there too that count. Probably Taking Back Sunday self-titled is in there as well. But now they're still around doing it, with the emo craze firing back up. You're like, if Story of the Year came out, well, if they did in the past 6 months and I just hadn't seen that headline, then I apologize to Chris Lukey, in particular, all of our Midwest listeners. But like if they came out with a really earnest new effort, I don't know, is it supposed to sound like a Story of the Year record sounded then? Would they get back in the studio with Feldman and all that stuff? That's one thing that's been interesting that I've been spending my time doing the hiatus doing, is listening to some of those shows, prepping for that other project we were going to do. Yeah. And it's interesting how many people have been in the studio with Feldman and how many mixed opinions they have about that, like overproduced place. He kind of single-handedly brought pop punk through the 2000s into the 2010s. Right. But other people who were more tied to the 90s motif of like, this is how a band should sound. And really kind of are thankful that he was there helping them get from point A to point B as a group, but didn't maybe love all of those tactics. I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of an interesting, just him as a character in all of this is just kind of delightfully, he's touched so many different things and so many people have to like pay homage, but some people that didn't love their whole experience with it necessarily start to finish. So yeah, just kind of interesting. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. What was the question? Sorry, Tom.
I don't remember either.
Okay. What song sucks shit from, sorry, everybody, from a band you love?
You answered
it. Final answer. Yeah, we answered it.
There's a question from Adrian that I really love. Another one. If you were to take part in a field day today, 3-legged race, egg and spoon, sack race, etc., what event would you be looking forward to the most, and how competitive would you be on a scale of 1 to 10?
Man, I think in middle school I was at a full 10, and I hope I would be at a 10 again. I love playing games, and I think documented Sporto in high school, Tom and I differed there a bit, although I claim every chance I get that Tom had powerful, springy legs, had a quick first step, and was a good athlete. And you were just kind of good at everything you tried, because if you wanted to be good at it, you practiced a lot. I would be most excited probably for the races more than the spoon. Spoon's one of those like mystical arts things in my, it's like, I don't know. For field day, it's just like, let's get in a weird position that would make us not go fast and try to go fast. Love it. Spoon, little specialty but you got to have the mix for a good field day. You can't just do 10 sack races in a row. So all 3, I'd hope to do well at all 3, but would probably get fired up for like the races, even though I'm extremely slow. I've learned over the course of my years of life. Every time I've tried to race anybody at anything. Yeah.
Oh God. Well, speaking of how unathletic I am, I was trying to film something at the skate park. There's like a power cables or telephone wires or something with just like hundreds of pairs of shoes over them. And I was trying to film my friend throwing a pair over, and then I wanted to do one too, and I could not get those fuckers over the wire. And I got so frustrated that I threw the shoes as hard as I could, and somehow I ended up nearly breaking my ankle, like on a paved road. Like there was no pothole. I threw the shoes, and the next thing I know, I heard a cracking sound that I was so sure was my ankle breaking. And I was on the ground, like writhing in pain, and my my ankle is like the size of a grapefruit right now. And then,
oh my God,
I've still been trying to skate through it. So I've gone skating twice with a fucked up ankle, and I'm trying to learn transition. And I slammed so hard, and now my knee on the other side is also looking like a grapefruit. So I'm not racing anyone right now. I can barely walk.
We'll put all our 4 legs together, and maybe we'll have 3 that are okay, and somebody can still beat us, but not by that much.
So,
P.S. The reminiscent meetup that may or may not happen in the next decade or not. But Pipe Dream, part of it's a field day. Let's fire it up. Let's get some sacks, and let's get.
Here's the thing. I would probably want to do the egg and spoon because years of being a barista, trying to carry hot coffee in a little mug without spilling it, gains some skills. But my former step family used to have family reunions every year at the lake and do these competitions like bubble blowing, like bubble gum and the races and shit. And I, like, as soon as they started, I would just go hide in the woods because I was so terrified of not doing well. And I remember, like, my mom was like, "Oh, honey, just take part in the bubble blowing competition." But no one had ever taught me how to blow a bubble. So I was in a competition, not able to blow a bubble, and I cried for like an hour. So you will never catch me competing in a friendly field day type thing because I am so terrified of people seeing me not doing well.
You crushed some hurdles in junior high, though, Tom. I am here to be on the right side of history that you were an extremely springy boy. You had the flowy hair in junior high. You were new to public school. You were ready to impress some people. Be like, "Hey, I'm here on the scene. I can drum a little bit. I wear DC things. This is my vibe." And we had this field day, which was kind of middle schooly to even do as a concept. Which I guess 7th and 8th grade is still middle school in some cases. But yeah, you had the hurdles and you cleared them, and I think you smoked everybody. I think like the track coach was kind of trying to court you for a minute. I could be wrong there, but like I remember it going well for you. At least as an introduction to like, it was like, "Whoa, Tom, that new guy with the hair. Look at him go."
If I'm going to push my humility to the side, I will say that my triple jump would have qualified for states.
Springy. That's my only argument is you were a springy lad. And it was probably from all the double bass.
But you should have seen me try to throw a pair of shoes over a telephone wire.
Well, hey.
It was pathetic.
Okay, Adrian, if you had to invent sabermetrics for 2000s pop punk, what stats would you track? The more esoteric, the better.
Fuck does that sentence mean?
Yeah, so sabermetrics, basically like, have you ever seen the movie Moneyball?
No.
So I don't know if sabermetrics, they've got to be tied together. Anyway, Bill James is like this nerd who was like, "Hey, baseball is like, essentially, if you turn it into a game of just trying to score runs, which it is, you would want to get the people that get on base the most. You don't want these like, you don't want to be scouting people for their looks, which is often the case, or just like how they look swinging the bat. Like, oh, he's a good ball player. His average will come up. Like if you looked at just stats, it was a way for teams in MLB, which doesn't have a salary cap, to like, the point of the movie is, the Oakland A's tried, Bill James's method. Anyway, I think that led to the birth of like advanced statistics in modern sports overall, and that's maybe what sabermetrics are. I'm kind of guessing at that point. Anyway, Moneyball is a good book, and Bill James is weird, but it's an interesting concept and looking at something in a new way. Anyway, advanced metrics for sports are, I don't know, interesting, I guess, to some. But I think like wins over replacement in basketball, WAR would be one where it's just like you hire some nerds for your pro team, have them create a new stat based on all these things. And like you can calculate based on this, that, and that. It's not just how many points you score, but like per minute you're in the game, what are your wins above your replacement? Like how many wins are you contributing to overall based on? So you're kind of like making weird stats up to tell a more thorough picture of how good somebody is in the spirit of Bill James making sports into a spreadsheet
Gotcha.
type of thing. Anyway, was that too convoluted? I think it's more straightforward than that. I just wanted to prove I have read at least one book in my life and wanted to mention the word Moneyball once or twice or 3 times or 4 times. So I would think like stage moves per set would be like a good starter weird stat. That Paramore would have a score similar to Fall Out Boy with their spins and jumps. Story of the year, early story of the year would have like be off the charts stage. They used to like do some Cirque du Soleil shit recently that I discovered watching old YouTube videos of them, because we were prepping for doing something with a story of the year themed thing before we went on hiatus, which Chris Lukey and Patrick McDonough will love to hear. But yeah, so they would have had a very high stage moves per set score. So I think like songs saved for the closing encore, songs saved for the encore. Like the score would try to calculate the perfect amount saved so that the payoff is good, but you don't ruin too much of the main set list, right? So like your encore ratio of hits to encore ratio would have to be in a range that didn't actively upset the audience. That's something. Ooh. I'm just talking here, but like this is what came to mind.
I like if you take a look at total sales of each song and what is the ratio of song sales in the main set versus song sales in the encore. There's like a number, because you don't want to like leave the 3 like big singles for the encore and not give them enough during the main set. So you could probably break it down to like total sales or total streams.
Honestly, I would look at like how many main chord progressions are there? That's a loaded question, I guess. But in pop punk, there's only like 1. But you know what I mean? If you could calculate most commonly used chord progressions, like Pachelbel's Canon, right? There's a million YouTube videos of people making fun of that. If you looked at like I'm wrong about this, but say there's 6, say there's 12, whatever. How many bands have how many number of songs that you would have a score for how often they use the same one, and a score for how often they fall within the 6 to 12 most common ones. I imagine Blink wouldn't do great, but maybe that's the point of pop music, is that it doesn't matter, I suppose, or something like that. But I'd imagine Coheed would have a different score where they wouldn't always fall into like a super palatable Beach Boysy 4-chordy range, right?
Deviation of the 1-5-6 chord progression. Or
yeah, your common melody compatibility for all your catalog or whatever, and that might help a fan determine if they're going to dig the band's vibe overall or not. I suppose maybe.
I like that.
I don't know. I might throw this one back to all of you because it's an interesting question, but I don't think either you are enjoying this or you are fucking not. You're going to kind of figure this out in real time. I'll cut it there in the spirit of, but that's an interesting question. Also, I didn't mention this before, but I wanted to. More of an egg toss guy than an egg on the spoon guy.
Oh,
2 very different events. Okay. Love me some egg toss.
I'd fuck with an egg toss.
Also, what do you do with the eggs after?
Yeah. I don't know. Throw them away.
You said yeah, and I was trying to process the response, but then I was like, "Oh, Tom's just as excited and curious as about." I was like, "Yeah, what's going on out there, big picnic? Where all the eggs going? You fucking bastards!"
Big picnic.
It's like, good. At least somebody cares about this as much as I do. Anyway, but even I don't care about it that much. It just popped into my head. Okay, let's just keep this rolling. That might be it. Let me scroll. I'm just scrolling. Just scrolling music.
We had a question from Miss Honey come in while we were recording. More statistics here. What percentage of episodes is just Tom laughing and Pat apologizing? 100%.
100. Yeah.
I think you heard it just now.
And am I sorry for it? I am.
But yeah, I think that's it for the questions. I'm surprised by how many came in.
I thought you meant
quickly.
That's it for the show. Like,
no.
Yes, Miss Honey is asking. She's just discovered the show, so it's kind of interesting to see when new people trickle in over the past 6 years or so. It's just kind of like the questions aren't all the same, but there's kind of like, hey, you guys, digging the show, and we're like, great. Hey, not digging the show, actually. Yep. Hey, anyway, so there's a similar kind of like the 6 or 7 stages of grief realizing our show exists. Anyway, yeah, that's that's most of it. So, yeah. Hi, Tom. It's good to be back. I haven't talked to you in a little. I mean, we talk, but obviously not as much. We used to talk 3 to 10 times a week, trying to plan for the show and everything like that.
Yeah.
Are you excited for your little girl, man? I mean, you're going to be a dad times 2.
I can't imagine how hard it's gonna be, dude. It's gonna be nuts. I'm excited because being a dad is great, but I don't know, dude. It's just like it's a lot of responsibility. You know, I was just talking to like an accountant today to figure out like budgeting and finance stuff, and like that's the kind of shit that like.
Are you a
I've never had
finance
to
boy,
do
Tom?
before. I kind of am.
Hey, clubhorn that, man. I know you're having a girl, yeah, but finance boy.
Yeah. No, I'm trying. You know, it's like stuff with the business has been going well.
Nice.
It's going super well. So I'm trying.
I called it an audio engineering business. You called it a production company earlier. I apologize for misspeaking, but it has. You're a multi-talented. You contain multitudes, and I say that sincerely. So,
thanks, man. But no, I'm excited. It's just like things are getting very, very real now. I mean, as if having a child for 15 months, 16 months isn't real enough. It's just like
daycare and stuff on the horizon.
Yeah, we've got
preschool. I guess I should say
preschool coming up. It's getting.
How are you liking North Carolina? Just as like a concept, like you live here, you're an adult, you're living your life right now, and that's where you are, and that's where I am.
I mean, we really do love being in Asheville, but we were also like. A lot of stuff going on in Congress and Supreme Court where like this country kind of sucks shit. So like maybe we look at Canada. Like we are like looking up the
Hamilton,
laws
Ontario. Somebody recently described it to me as the Pittsburgh of Canada. So I'm like, all right, Hamilton, Ontario. You can still visit the area if you had to, but you'd be out.
Yeah. No, we were like Googling like best, city in Canada to raise a family, and Ottawa came up, and it's not too far from Montreal. It's like by the Vermont border. Like we are very seriously looking at like expatriatizing from the US, especially, having a girl. It's the laws are not made for them. So again, not that show, but it's getting we love Asheville, but we're also like very seriously looking at like, is it best to actually just leave the country? So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't think you're alone. I think it's not like I don't know. I haven't looked up the analytics, Tom, but I doubt you're the only person to Google that in the last in the last year, because I know I at least have. So at least two. Just out of curiosity, what would those taxes look like? Hey, what if it was just a visa? But yeah, Hamilton, Ontario. We're coming for you, Hamilton.
I know someone in Hamilton. I forget who, but interesting.
Well, we'll be staying with them just for a little bit, just to get our feet underneath.
Right.
Also, no, there is no also. I think that's it. How long did we go?
About almost 50 minutes. We're at like 47, 48.
Okay. A little shorter than usually we're like, oh, this will be 20 and it ends up being an hour 20. But we kept it under an hour. We kept it pretty tight. It's an AMA. Yeah. I don't even consider this like a full song intro episode. Maybe just the riff part.
Sure.
I don't know, because it's kind of a special. We don't really post AMAs that frequently. Yeah. To the feed, but I imagine this is more than just a Patreon thing. It'll go into the feed for everybody as kind of an update for the show.
Yeah. Well, I guess speaking of that, we've been pausing all the Patreon payments, so I just now paused it for September. So, for the past 100 episodes, we've been doing post shows. So there's a lot of stuff in the Patreon that is not anywhere else. So if you'd like to sign up at any tier, I believe you get the post shows, and it's not going to charge you anything. And that's going to be kind of indefinitely, just pausing it every month.
Yeah, we will put it all over Instagram and Twitter if we ever fire it back up. But for as long as we're on hiatus, it'll be paused. So, but if you want to just log in just to go rip a bunch of post shows and then quit immediately,
feel free. Yeah,
go for it. I would encourage it. Yeah, I got to say, this was nice.
It was nice, man. I actually, I've always enjoyed the.
You're going to hear my audio quality because I didn't do the normal setup, and you're going to be like, woof. But my gut is that it's louder. You get mad at it being quiet. I'm definitely coming in hotter than normal. Oh, so maybe that'll make you happy. I don't know.
Well, that kind of goes into what I'm trying to say is I always enjoy the recording. It's always so much fun. But when it comes to the post-production and the shit that's actually my job, it's ugh, Yeah. That's what makes doing the show hard.
Trying to be self-aware. I don't make it any easier for you at all. Like, you worked hard for 4 years to get it to a point where it's only very hard for you to do a show with me that's in an audio medium, as opposed to excruciating. So apologies forever on that. There's a quick apology and a quick laugh for you to end the show on. We miss you all. Somebody whipped out reminectarines the other day, so that was fun. So we miss you. I hope you're having a good summer. Maybe your screen time's up. Maybe it's down. I hope you're finding what works for you. And as the world, plant a tree. We love you. Okay.
Yep. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.